Sucio.Talk, recording restaurant Yo Jimbo in West Hollywood, California. And I'm hanging out with top photographer out here in LA. Put some respect on the name, John Trox. How you doing, man?
Good, brother. How you doing, Chef?
Fucking amazing.
Awesome.
Just had a cool portrait session. That's probably the first time I've ever done anything like that. Other than the Kelly Puleo photo shoot for Charter Oak.
Nice.
So I thank you for that,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
How you doing, man?
Yeah, good, man. Good.
Cool.
Good,
cool.
yeah.
And how do you know the guys here?
So I know Yojimbo, Chris K, James. I reached out. They reached out to me probably about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And maybe 4 months ago. And we got after it, man. James has a lot of different restaurants in the area, and so we just started here at Yojimbo and bounced around to a couple others. Got Prime Pizza and Bloodstones, which is a barbecue joint right down the way.
Gotcha.
And we work together a lot. We keep it loose and easy and keep the flow going. So
very cool.
Yeah, great crew.
You have a very unique style of the way you shoot your pictures. Can you just sort of elaborate? Why? I find it a little dark. It's dark, right? It's darker than most photography that you see. I love it. What made you go there? What grew you into that? Like, where did you create your style? You have a style, and that's not a thing you could just look at photographers and be like, yeah, this got a style. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Every fucking catalog looks the same. It's different photographers, but it looks the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, no, I think it's the belief in yourself and what you do, and you have to tell your own story. There's a billion people out here. There's so many people, iPhones and this, and there's just so I really always just believed in what I did, and a little bit of my background is, I worked for a huge food tabletop director, DP, a gentleman, Herb Blitz, and you guys like a legend.
Yeah.
And so I was his first assistant cameraman for approaching about 15 years, and I knew I needed to step away. I'm 50, so I think about 45, I made a big push towards motion work, and it's just too confusing. There's too many people doing it. I respect the craft of, Hollywood, man. This is where I got, made my bones for 30 years.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to do anything half-assed, and I just got frustrated trying to do motion work. And in that moment, I said, why am I not shooting stills? Why am I not shooting food photography? And I had two cameras. My daughter, was born, and so I love photography. I would go up to Humble. My buddies all grew weed for ever, they came out from Philly, and so I would go up there and hang out. Did a lot of landscape photography, and just really loved it. And there was something that was missing in my life artistically, and when I started shooting food, it just naturally came to me, just like something that I was missing my entire life.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden came together, and it became dark and moody, and it just was. It wasn't thought of, but like it just happened. It just occurred, and it occurred by action and doing and getting after it, I respect natural light a lot. I do work with lights, but I respect natural light, and I think that I say chasing light, and that's what I do, and I can go into any place and pretty much rip it apart, man, and you just find it, and you have to know, you walk into a restaurant, there's tungsten lights, there's fluorescent lighting, it's green, it's this, it's that, so you really have to work within these color balances, and you have to be confident enough to say to people like, hey, this is what we need to do to get this, and it's everything is moody. It's dark and moody, and I love it.
No, I love it, bro. I'm like, damn, because like I said, man, it's like it's your picture, and sometimes when I see it, the same sort of like coloring, I'm like, is that Trox? You know what I mean? And I look it up. 9 times out of 10, it's you, and then sometimes it'll be some other posers. Let's say it real, right? So where were you born?
Just outside of Philly.
Okay.
Born just outside of Philly. But still, I was 40 minutes outside of Center City, but still, riding dirt bikes in the woods and skateboarding and stuff. And
Gotcha.
Yeah, born there. Moved to South Philly. It was awesome. Probably early 20s, and quick stint in Florida, Boston. Then just came out here at about 23, maybe. Yeah. And so, I've been out here ever since. I love Cali. Bounce all around the west side.
Yeah.
And, I love it. And, sorry, I got a little lost there.
No worries, dog. It's all good. Sucio.Talk, baby. Growing up, was your family a big food family? Were they cooking? Were you guys going out?
It was more going out.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The food thing really came into, like we were talking about it, I've never worked in a restaurant, but it came from working with my boss. I always, from Philly, cheesesteaks, hoagies, pizza. I used to go and party in New York a lot, so you'd always get, good Italian food, from Philly. So enjoyed food a lot, loved it. But, but then when I started working with my boss, that was really where, you're working with the best food stylists on the planet.
Yeah.
Applebee's, Kraft, Olive Garden, Burger King, Popeye, just everything, man. So you saw a lot. And to work with these people over and over and over and to see how my boss would just run his set, and he really just he knew what it took to accomplish what needed to be accomplished, even with a huge agency and clients and all that. Like, he would just look at the producer like, what the fuck, this not going to fucking look good. Is it what they fucking want, And so, and like...
So that chef mentality, but in a set.
Yeah, in a set. And so, I just, he's on the left, the camera's in the middle, and I'm on the right-hand side, and I'm always pulling focus, and I have to concentrate, it was always a shallow depth of field. It was always right on point. You had, food stylists and prop assistants, pouring, doing this, doing that. So it really became a big team effort. But that's where I've made my bones within the, let's say, the food world.
Got you. When did you first get into photography?
When I had my kid.
Okay.
Yeah, I bought my first camera. It's 14 years ago.
Okay.
And
before that, no inkling of even. No disposable cameras, nothing.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So this is So there was, like I said, it's like you find your. We'll go in a couple of different directions, but I remember when we used to go to the Pocono Mountains, Lake Wampaupack.
Yeah.
And I remember I had a disposable camera, and it was so. We used to go in the off seasons. We never went in the summer. We go once a month, all through the winters, fall, and I remember it was like, fall time and. It started to snow for the first time.
Right.
And when that hits in the mountains, you're like, it's still and it breathes, right? It's almost like my moodiness. Like you can, I always try to make it like soulful, right? Like everything, you want to feel it. Like even when I'm shooting food or portraits, like you want to feel it. But so I remember taking that shot, and it was just of the snow starting to fall. It was the hill, like I was on these steps, they were kind of at an angle. And it was just, and I always remember that, and that's like, and then just to touch base, since we're in this area, is I remember as a kid I would always rip pages out of magazines, right, and I would hang them on my wall, and so you'd have your Bob Marley poster, your James Dean, you'd have Cindy Crawford, Claudia Schiffer pictures, and just all this skateboarding stuff, and I would just have it like this structured linear environment would be just, it's something that came naturally for me. And so those two things, that first picture that I took probably at 11, and that artistic thing that I couldn't find, like as soon as I found myself at like 45, like all that kind of came back to me. So I it's like, it's just wild. I was like, I was an okay drawer, and stuff, but I think back to some of my old art projects, and they would be like, everything would be structured and linear. Like I remember I made a skier of myself one time, and we'd have like Matchbox and sticks and stuff, but everything was always linear. And my boss held true to that. My old boss held true to that, where everything had to be lined up and perfect. And so when I approach anything, I approach it in this kind of linear context. Like when we were just doing portraits, you know, it's like, I mean, me, it's raining, perfect, moody,
exactly.
But you always try to I try to line people up, and it just, I don't overthink it. I do. And that's all. It's within that, I somehow find it. And so I don't go to bed free, I do, man. And that's what it is. But
gotcha.
those two are a huge part of, who I am today.
Yeah. Well, it's just like chefs, some chefs can cook with a plethora of ingredients and just kind of whatever goes. But then there's other chefs that are like, no, this is the menu and these are the recipes and this is the way that we're, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Both can be successful. It just depends on who's doing it and who's like part of the team working for you.
Gotcha.
So what were your first jobs?
Oh man, my first job, Philly's a blue collar place.
Oh, of course,
so,
yeah.
And
the
I'm
steel yard? What?
Yeah, that's
16.
That's it's like it is. It's crazy. So and I'm 50, so it's old school still at that point. I was throwing newspapers, man.
Yeah,
probably like 10 or 11. Already hustling.
Yep.
And then my grandpa worked. He was like, he was in the war, but he had a retired job, which was at this local church that we would all go to. It was a huge church, though, so we would always go there. I would work there, like maintenance. I mean, it was like huge.
It'd take like a hotel. Yeah,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's just like take 2 days to mow the lawn.
God,
it was huge, man. So, But so I always worked at that. My neighbor across the street was a mason, so I was a mason labor at like 14, and I did all construction, roofing, siding. We worked landscaping. I just worked hard. I had a good hard work ethic. And
did you particularly enjoy the work, itself, like the building of it, and or were you just like, eh?
No, I don't know. I liked it. I was always ahead. I always burned, so it was like whatever job you could do that just you kind of cruise was always it,
exactly.
And so, and so I just did a lot of stuff. You were working with your friends, we'd go out and party in Philly and then roll in at 5 a.m. and it'll be like, I'll pick you up in an hour because we got to go to work and stuff. So it was just, there was no
that's some real Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Good Will Hunting shit.
Yeah, it was, man. Yeah, no, and it was, but it was fun. It was a good way, and I never took anything too seriously. I just cruised.
Right.
I was never good at school. I was out of school in 10th grade, and just battled. I loved to party as a kid. But. Yeah, and I worked hard, and then I think when you became in your 20s, and you just party. I was in the rave scene, man. So we just were up and down the East Coast partying, and tons of New York and caffeines in Long Island. It was awesome. It was a great time in my life. But then cruised out here, and got into one of my buddies I was doing a little construction, but then one of my buddies goes, "Hey, man, I have this music video. You want to be a production assistant on it?"
Dope.
And so,
you, at this point, you've never production assisted anything.
Amen, exactly, man, totally.
Love it, dude. Yeah, but hey, say yes. The answer is yes.
The answer is always
figure it
yes.
out.
Exactly. So it was great. So it was a good introduction,
Yeah.
And then and that led my career. Then I just took off from there. And
what was a music video?
I don't remember, but
not a big talent then.
It was. We got into them. I did everybody. 50 Cent.
Did you?
Yeah, Cash Money, Lil Wayne.
So okay, we got to talk about
Stefani,
that. What are you doing as the production assistant? Like, what do you?
You pretty much do everything. You're working like 20 hours a day. It was crazy back
They
then.
just tell you what to do, and you do it.
Yeah. You would go around, pick up all the equipment, do this, do that. You drive trucks. And then on set, you would, you assist everything. You're just
move shit around.
Yeah, you're just like you're the grunt.
Got you.
Yeah.
So like 50 Cent needs coffee.
Yeah.
You're like, I got you. Dog.
I got you, man.
Yeah, I got you.
So exactly.
What up, 50?
Yeah, man.
That's
It's